welcome to another episode of Final Bets. I'm your host, Big Steve. Uh, this is a double episode, so I'll do my final bets for the Bellator 290 Fedor versus Beta number 2, and also the UFC card, UFC Vegas 68 or Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivak. I wasn't really going to do this, it's just the schedule was getting crazy. Been out all day. And now it's almost midnight and no one's home. I've got a wedding tomorrow and people are sleeping at different places, and just thought, why not? I've re-taped a lot of things. I'm quite tired. Hopefully, I hate when you put a lot of work in and then you lose a lot of your bets. You kind of feel robbed. So hopefully that's not the case. I was going to do my PFL. I was bets as well, like all of them. But I'll just do a little overview now. So I bet $150 on that big bald girl. What's her name? Shaquita. There's no fights on YouTube. She's just a massive girl, proper lightweight or featherweight, but she dropped to lightweight. Needed every pound. She was big. She won by KO in 7 seconds. And Montague is horrible. I've lost money trying to fade her before against a soccer mom. No regrets. She was doing okay. Obviously doesn't have a ground game and almost got that last joke. So no regrets. Kakai Agaki, Hawaii, mate. Big Steve, what's up, dog? I'm glad someone's online. I thought I was going to be the only one at midnight. Nothing more depressing than doing a late night podcast tired. Hawaii, mate. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so no regret there. Last minute, I put Cataline Jackie, the wrestler. I put $500 on her to win $455. She won round 1 KO. Beautiful bet. I'm happy with that. That should have been my only bet, really. Yeah, the other girl was just horrendous. I saw one fight of her. She's pulling guys. She's getting dropped. I'm like, how is this girl going to beat a wrestler like this? All right, so yeah, I should have hammered that, but it's low women's MMA, so kind of no regret. And then I put a quarter unit, $250 on this Michelle girl. She beat Jacqueline in the last fight. She dropped down to featherweight this time around. She fights for your money. She's like a tough, durable MILF. And the line got a bit out of hand. She was almost $3 underdog. And she did fine in round 1. And then, got taken down and got choked out. So, yeah, I literally broke even almost. I won $55. Let's go. But yeah. No regrets about Shaquita. Catalin probably should have been $1,000 one unit. And, yeah, just kind of threw my money away on Michelle. But, yeah, let's get into it. It's 11:30 at night. I want to watch this Premier League game, this Arsenal-Everton. But, yeah, I've got a lot of bets. I'm happy with some. I'm maybe not happy with others, but we'll see. Let's get into it. So Bellator, right? The first fight of the night is this Yusuf Karakaya versus Hughes. A lot of back and forth on this fight, right? It's a very popular one. I got the early line on Karakaya, 500 to win 775, and on the podcast I mentioned it's probably a pass fight. There's tons of questions about him. He's got a kickboxing background. How's he going to look at around 1? Hughes will fight for your money. He's a gritty kid. He could be losing. He could get him on the ground in rounds 2 and 3 and just gas him out. Maybe get a ground and pound finish. So I just put 450 on Hughes at dog money as well. And if Karakaya wins, I win 325. If Hughes wins, I win $40. So either break even, $40 or I'll win 300. So it's essentially easy money. If I didn't get that line, I wouldn't have even played it. It's just not my kind of gambling. So hopefully the Turkish guy wins and I start my night off with a little bit of profit. But let's move on. Isaiah Hockett, Peter Ishiguro. I've got $150 here to win 500, half a unit. Just a small stab. I just think it's a little bit wide. Money's coming in. I don't think Hockett's that guy. He's not some amazing wrestler like these other guys. He's already been sparked in 10 seconds by not a great fighter, Samuels. And he's beaten 2 other bums. Ishiguro's decent. He's also got a wrestling and grappling background. Was doing fine against Cass Bell. My only problem is he's been finishing all his losses. That's concerning here. But yeah, Hockett has no power. We saw in that last. This was a pass, like I said, but then in that last fight, where they had his last opponent was completely gassed, and he had him against the cage. He couldn't finish him, literally no power. And then his opponent took him down and took his back. And then after that, Hockett seemed tired. So yeah, if this goes to the decision, there has to be some value, on Ishiguro. It's just a tiny stab, $150. just for the culture. Nothing on the Jalen Bates, Jana Lugo fight. I think Lugo is the better fighter. Yeah, nothing. I see a lot of people saying there's value. There probably is a bit of value in Bates. He's just showing a lot of flaky tendencies for me. Alrighty, Darian Caldwell, Nikita Mikhailov. This is the one that I was going back and forth with. I either wanted to play Caldwell or I either wanted to play the under. Similar price. I thought if I played the under, it saves me if Caldwell flakes. Like both these guys love putting their necks in chokes. He's been submitted by AJ McKee. He got ground and pounded by Zola. It went just over 2.5. He got submitted by Koji, just under 2.5. He got submitted in the first under 2.5 by Joe Timanglo. Right, so he's a bit of a stunt puller, old mate Caldwell, especially when he gets gassed. And he's ran through Adam Borix. He's got a bunch of guillotines himself. So, and Mikhailov, Nikita Mikhailov has been triangled in one of his only losses, and he was put in a bunch of deep subs by Brian Moore. He was put in a bunch of guillotines by Blaine Shutt, which is Caldwell's favorite submission, and he was put in a lot of rear naked chokes by Enrique Barzola. One of the worst bad beats. I had a Barzola round 3 sub there, and I was just pulling my hair out. I didn't lose much money. I lost $100, but I missed out on a lot of money, right? It was paying like $20. So I put like 100 to win 2,000, right? 2 units of base of nothing. But yeah, I think someone like Caldwell, if he gets the back or if he gets the guillotine, he could finish it. So in the end, I passed on the over because I didn't think Nikita has much finishing upside. It's mostly decisions. You finish your Blaine shot. Other than that, doesn't really go for guillotines or anything like that. Not saying he can't do that here, but yeah, I ended up passing on that the over-under, and I just stuck with Caldwell, right, at $2.30. I know he's a bit hard to trust, but the way I see it, he's the better wrestler. He's much bigger and more physical at bantamweight. He was up 2 rounds to nil against Barzola on one of the judges' scorecards, or 2 potentially. I remember that was a very contested fight. I passed on that one just because I saw Barzola giving up a lot of takedowns. Meanwhile, MMA math, Nikita Mikhailov absolutely got smashed by Barzola from start to finish. Both gas. Nikita's also a bit flaky. He's more of a kid. I think Caldwell wins round 1 at a pretty high clip. He's got all the finishing upside with a guillotine, or if he gets Mikhailov's back, or even late when they gas. And then I think, even then, you can give Mikhailov maybe round 3. But even then, Caldwell had a bit of energy against Barzola, and he had plenty of energy against Higo in the last 2 fights at bantamweight, 34 years of age. So not the most confident, but I potentially think this would be flipped. I think you could give Caldwell the favorite line just because of the finishing upside early and just how likely he is to win round 1. And then after that, who knows? Mikhailov is improving, so who knows? But yeah, I'll put half a unit. I'll put $500 to win $650. Again, hard to trust, but just what I saw on tape. Give me the finish to make it sweat free. Put your neck in a guillotine for me, please, Mikhailov. Next one, Diana Avrazagova, Alejandra Lara. Complete pass. Thought about Lara as a slight dog. Not worth it. Azaragova says she wants to wrestle now. That's all I need to see. Lara couldn't stop the takedown to save her life. She'll probably end up on her back by herself at some point. Moving on. FIFA XX Gaming. Hawaii, mate. Thanks for tuning in. Big Steve. I'm a fan of Diana, not her fighting, though. Yeah, can't disagree. I'm a fan of both of these girls, but not in a fighting sense. Next fight. What do we got? Grant Neal, Carl Olbergson. I was really close to playing Neal. Ultimately, I wanted a little bit more juice on his line. Carl looked horrible against Moore, but when you look at his other fights, he doesn't always look that bad. He seemed like a once-off. Apparently had depression. He is inconsistent. He is quite hittable. I've seen him quit many times and be finished. I've never seen Neal quit, and he will fight for your money. It's just Neal also fights a bit close. He's small. He blitzes in. Stays on the outside, looks for timing takedowns to seal rounds. I don't think he's going to get the takedowns as easy against Carl. Carl is bigger, despite being hittable. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't mind. I was really close to play Neal just for the intangibles alone. He'll fight for your money, younger, blah, blah, blah. And Carl, you never know, could come out looking as bad as his last fight. But yeah, I don't want to rely on that. So pass there. Chris Gonzalez, Mass Roshkov, pass here too. I don't trust Gonzalez at minus 200. I want to see more of Roshkov. I really thought about the over 2.5 at plus money. I feel like if Roshkov doesn't get one of his front chokes, which I don't think he will. I can't really rely on Chris Gonzalez to finish Roshkov either, even though everyone's assuming that he's going to flake like he did in the UFC, even though that was on 1 week's notice. He went to a 3-round decision in Cage Warriors, didn't look too gassed to me. And Chris, not really a finisher, other than landing a head kick on a very chinny Sawad. So yeah, pass 5 for me. Steve Mary, Ali Isaev. I was so close to putting half a unit on Isaev at $2.10 odds. The guy's a beast, even at 36 3 years ago in PFL. He looks like he's gassed 1 round in, but just very good wrestling. He's taking down the Olympian guy in PFL, the black dude. He's just throwing people around, taking down Rosholt. Knocking out Goltsov in round 3 when he looked absolutely spent. And that's the thing. I think he's an awful matchup for Mary, who's tall, long, plodding. I don't think he can stop the takedown. We saw a little bit of a preview against Moldavsky. He was just way too slow. I think Ali is just a lot more athletic, has the power. He can potentially knock his block off with a punch or some ground and pound. I don't think he's getting submitted by Mary. I don't think he's getting taken down by Mary. He's not the same height, but he's quite big. Mary's been fighting cans. It's just the 3-year layoff, and now, Isaev is 39, so he's even older, and I don't know what his cardio is going to be like. It was already bad before. I was very close. I was very, very close. I think even gassed, he can potentially still get takedowns of Mary and kind of trickle over to a decision, or he has all the finishing upside. But yeah, I just thought I better not. I've got way too many bets. Henry Corrales, Ahmed Magomedov, nothing here. I really thought about the under 2.5 rounds. I can't decide if he's going to submit Corrales or not. Corrales is very good at keeping his back against the cage, fighting an anti-grappling approach. So yeah, pass there. Lorenz Larkin, Muhammad Bekhamov. I just cashed out my half a unit on him as a $3 underdog. I was going back and forth in that, rewatching their fight again. Larkin got cracked bad before Bekhamov took him down. He's just faster. Larkin went for a guillotine there. He went for a guillotine against Koreshkov as well. So the guy, I don't like to see that. Don't go for that. Just focus on the takedown defense. Took him a bit to get up. Even now, I'm kind of regretting cashing it out, and I only cashed it out 10 minutes ago. So this is the one where I feel Larkin's going to have a bunch of value, but he might lose anyway. I don't want to underestimate this Bekhamov guy. I kind of have a feeling they might be flaky. I kind of have a feeling that he might be really good. Lorenz he's so good, man. He's durable. He's got great striking, great knees, great elbows. He's got power. Obviously, he can even get his own takedowns. He took down Koreshkov a few times, but I don't want to see him engage in that here. So yeah, it's a dog or pass. I just cashed it out. Who knows? Hopefully he doesn't win. Hopefully he's not the only dog that wins and I lose on my others, because that's usually what happens with these cards. Neyman Gracie, Dan Shiro, pass. You can't trust Gracie. He's looking horrible recently. Shiro, I thought about the over 1.5. I think Shiro could survive on the ground with Gracie if Gracie even goes for a takedown, but ultimately I decided to pass. $1.60. I remember Shiro getting his neck taken by I forgot his name. The guy that was in the UFC that did that first Sulu stretch, but he won via Sulu stretch. Just an old dude, and he had his neck and he almost got choked out. So yeah, I don't want to risk it. Kenny Robertson, that's it. So I think it just could be sweaty, but I think he goes over. It's just a bit too juice for me. Sabah Hamasi, Brennan Ward. I was going to not play anything here, and literally just before I went live, I just said F it, and I put $1,000 on the under 1.5. Originally I was passing just because, Brendan Ward is going to have that wrestling. We've seen him go to it a lot against Cassius Clay. It's going to tick off the clock. I think Hamasi can also go for takedowns. It's going to tick off the clock. And then it's going to get sweaty. It took Ward a bit into round 2 to knock out 2 bums. But then I just say, these guys are pumped up. I watched the interviews. They've got respect for each other. They literally said they're willing to brawl. Ward wants to get ended in round 1. It's his first time, a full training camp. I just said, what are the chances that this goes over? It's I pretty much just said F it. So let's go. These guys are gonna brawl. I am more relying on Sabah Hamasi. Brendan Ward, like I said, he's quite chinny. He's a glass cannon, where I think Sabah can actually take a bit more damage. But I think Brendan Ward can also get submitted. He loves getting submitted, putting his head in guillotines, heel hooks, etc., etc. So yeah, don't care who wins as long as it's under 1.5 rounds. Got $1,000 on that. Johnny Eblen, Anatoly Tokov. I have. Well, let me just address this comment. FIFA Gaming. Ward said he was coming with a wrestle heavy game plan this fight. I don't know. I haven't seen that, mate. I saw his interview where he was talking about, where he says he's probably going to end in round one, and is looking to. I mean, his wrestling's okay, but it's nothing special, Hamasi has good wrestling too. Who knows? We'll see. Johnny Eblen, Anatoly Tokov. I regret passing on $1.62. I still ended up playing the juice at $1.50 minus 200 on Eblen. I think I was just spooked by Anatoly Tokov, respecting his record a bit too much, respecting his skill set. He is a good fighter. But when you look into it deep, this would probably be his best win, hands down. He's a little bit gassy. He seems to be a little bit hittable. Yeah, even though I see it being a little bit close at the start, Johnny Eblen's got his flaws as well. It's just, as someone mentioned to me, he has a lot of advantages, a lot of intangibles, the durability, the power, the strength, the cardio. I think, Tokov's he's got a steep hill to climb here. He will have the speed advantage early, which is something that, he was a cleaner, more powerful, faster striker, and he'll be in and out. Might be hard to hit early, which is why I didn't want to play the juice. But yeah, it's just the intangibles, and Eblen over 5 rounds, and the fact that he never loses rounds, right? He's 50-45 in Musashi, who's great striker with decent grappling. He's 30-27 Salter, who's a solid jiu-jitsu guy and decent wrestler. He's just shutting people down. So even if Tokov gets 1 round, 1 or 2 rounds, I can't see it. How does he do it? Eblen would have to fight horrendously. So yeah, I laid the juice there. And I also parlayed him. I don't know why I doubled up. I put $1,000 on him there to win 500 and something, 20 something, and then I played. What did I play? I played another 500 with him and Beta, right? Which I was never going to do, but I could see the line was moving. That gave me just slight plus money to win 600. I don't know. I think I played that because just in case I was going to reduce my $1,000 on Eblen, just a half a unit parlay. Reduce the risk, and I just decided to keep them both, right? If what I did play was $100 on Toko by submission, which is playing $14, 100 to win 1,400. That pretty much covers my 1,000 and my 500 parlay, my whole stake on Eblen. I think that's Toko's best chance. He's got a really good 10-finger guillotine and the standard guillotine. If Eblen's going to put his neck in there, I think that's his best chance. Or if Toko, busts him up a bit. But yeah, other than that, I've got a bit on Eblen going there, and $100 on Toko by submission. And then the main event, I got Ryan Bader, and I got Ryan Bader in the parlay with Eblen. At first, I thought I was going to pass, just because Ryan Bader's a bit chinny and he's been knocked out before, and Fedor, if he's going to knock out anyone, probably going to be Ryan Bader. It's just, I kind of don't see it happening. Fedor's my favorite. He did it to Tim Johnson, but Tim Johnson's so much slower. Unfortunately, I think Bader's going to get there first, just like the first time. The biggest play on the card is I have the under 1.5. A bit more confident about this one than the Sabah Hamasi one. I put 2,000 on it to win 1,000 minus 200 straight. I just taping Fedor's fight, his career, and like I mentioned on the original Bellator podcast, it's like 26 fights since the Crow Cop decision. He's got 3 fights that went over 1.5 rounds. And that was like the Monson one, the Bigfoot Silva, and then the Maldonado one, which should have been a round 1 knockout for Maldonado, who's a light heavyweight, doesn't even hit hard, just a good boxer. So Fedor's been washed for a while now. It's unfortunate, sad. He's been getting post-retired, middleweights and light heavyweights, Fat Rampage, Chael Sonnen, Frank Mir, and it's got him a little bit of a win streak. But even that Tim Johnson fight, I got Tim Johnson and pick him there. And, Fedor just, of course, had to knock him out. And every time Johnson threw, Fedor's got that style where his hands are low, the Sambo style, and he's just relying on his speed still. And it's so close. It's so close. Every Tim Johnson hook was so close to hitting his chin. I reckon he would have been knocked out if one of them hit. In the end, he just ended up countering Johnson. And he always plays that game, and Bader got there first. Essentially, every single one of Fedor's loss, I think, comes down to one punch. Bader knocked him out with one hook. Mitrione got there first with one hook. He's just the chin's completely gone. He's 46 years old. I was talking to someone that convinced me to put 2 units instead of 1, and I think the only threat he has if Ryan Bader chooses to be really, really safe. But they think even with the ground and pound, Fedor's probably going to get put out. At 60%, 66%. At a minus 200, I'm willing to take that chance. It's only if something freaky happens, like Bader just doesn't engage whatsoever. But yeah, like I said, it literally comes down to one punch from Bader, and the under's going to cash. So hopefully it doesn't take too long to do it. Minus 200. This should be a sad retirement fight. If Fedor wins, it's most likely going to be in round 1, so I don't mind like $100 on his $8 round 1 prop. If Fedor wins, like I said, round 1, the 2,000 on the under 1.5 is going to cover my Bader. Parlay with Eblin. If Bader wins in round 1, I hit the parlay, $600, and I hit the $1,000 on the under 1.5. So they're kind of hedging each other, which is why I kept them both. So hopefully Red Panty, hopefully Bader round 1 or Bader under 1.5 for Red Panty night. So let's quickly go over the bets. Let's go over the comments first. The MMA betting prodigy, what's up, brother? This is the first time I've seen you in the comments. Welcome. FIFAX Gaming, scared the bettor's going to be pussy and hump him on the ground. Yeah, that's the only way I see this going over. But he's holding Congo down, who's a mammoth, and like Congo hit him a couple of times, and he's like, "No, I had enough." But it's just like there's such a big physicality difference between 6'5" Congo and Fedor. Fedor's just so slow now. But like I said, even if he gets Fedor down, like Chael Sonnen got Fedor down with ease, right? You know what I mean? A middleweight. So I feel like even if Bader gets him down, how many ground and pound shots is Fedor going to take? MMA betting prodigy. Yeah, saw you in James' podcast last week. Had to shoot a follow. Thank you, mate. Yeah, lucrative MMA. He's got me a few followers. I have to thank him for that. All right, let's quickly go over the bets. So Ethan Hughes, Yusuf Karakaya. Just hedged myself here. It would have been a pass, but I've got dog money on each side. So if Yusuf wins, $325 profit. Hughes wins, $40 profit. Peter Ishiguro, $150 to win half a unit. Just a small stab on a massive dog. Bates pass. Darian Caldwell, half a unit to win $650. Just a physical, better wrestler, more athletic, sub danger at the start. If he might gas and might lose, but both these guys gas. Dogger pass on this women fight, pass on the Neil fight, Dogger pass though, pass on Gonzalez, pass on Mary, pass on Henry. Reluctantly pass on Lorenz Larkin. I think it could be a close fight. Pass on the Gracie fight. Sabah Hamasi, Brendan Ward, under 1.5. I literally made an impulsive bet right before I went online. Hopefully it doesn't let me down. Johnny Eblin and Toli Tokov, I got 1,000 on Eblin at minus 200. And then I've got another half a unit on him and Bader. And then my biggest bet of the weekend is Ryan Bader, Fedor, under 1.5. It's been a while since I did a $2,000 or 2 unit under 1.5, especially a juice. Let's hope it doesn't ruin me. If you guys know, my under 1.5 record is pretty good. I shared it on my Twitter that I've pretty much hit missed one out of like 20 something under 1.5s that I've tracked. So if this loses, I'll just completely ruin that record. Yeah, Steve Gregory, what is this comment? Liam Wilson got robbed. Jobbed. Who's that, mate? I don't know what you're talking about. Alrighty, let's move on to the UFC now. So let's do the favorite bets. The under 1.5 in the main event's obviously my favorite. And then the second favorite, not much to choose from, other than I'm just gonna say Johnny Eblin, minus 200. Let's go with the juice. It's just there might not be much value there, but I just think he's gonna get over the line with a unanimous decision. FIFAX Gaming. I will think about you when Fedor gets knocked out within 2 minutes. I hope so, mate. Think about me. Think about me every night. That's what I want from my listeners. All right. Let's stop sharing this. Let's go to some. Whoa. You have to see my face, unfortunately. Alrighty. That's the good stuff now. Steve Gregory, Aussie boxer, fought Navarrete last night. Oh, that's right. I think one of my friends been on that. Alrighty. So first fight on the UFC. So Tatsuro Taira, Jesus Aguilar. I had the Taira finish here, $1.66. I just didn't feel right, I had this gut feeling like Taira was going to dominate and not finish. Aguilar's put himself in some guillotines, some triangles, some back takes, and he's got out. I actually posted on my Twitter. I said, would Taira finish this rear naked choke? Probably, but then I watched his one fight where he didn't finish this veteran Asian. Had his back, had Candelario's back, had CJ Vergara's back, didn't finish him. And then in the Candelario fight, it was a little bit too. I didn't like his ground and pound. He wasn't aggressive enough, wasn't urgent enough. He's very technical. He's very patient. It's just, I don't think he's going to fight for my finish, honestly. But yeah, I'm happy to lose out on the profit than lose $1,000 because he didn't get the finish. So I cashed that out. I'm still looking at maybe playing Taira rounds 2 or 3. I thought about KO, just putting $100 that way. I'm involved somehow, but yeah, nothing at the moment. Junior Park, Dennis Tulilian, nothing. I think I'm close to playing Park round 3. It's paying $13. I think eventually when Tulilian gets gassed, Park could implement his ground game and get a finish. Junior and King, Mandibon, horrible fight, nothing there. Park, Choi, nah, not really interested. Past there. Rinya Nakamura, Kazama. I said I was gonna double tape this fight. Couldn't be bothered. Zayi Jongyong Lee. I did retape this one, and it just left me nowhere really. I'm back at square one. I was passing originally. I saw everyone's on Yi, and he's a decent dog. If he doesn't get knocked out, he probably wins. But I just can't. Too many questions. Let me see. I was actually going to wiki cap their records a bit after retaping the second time. What do we got? Zayi. I didn't think he won his last fight either on Road to FC. But apparently that guy was really good, so. Yeah, man, he's been knocked out in round 2 on the regionals. Got heel hooked a couple of years ago. Yeah. I don't know, man. I personally think Lee, I was impressed by Lee, man. He's got the death touch. I saw some grappling footage early in the career. It was a long time ago, like this Marcio Cesar, 2017, 19-9. Took him down. He got up. Obviously, he got taken down a road as well. Yeah. I'd rather play him. What are the unders? I'm talking about this one just because I retaped it. Might as well wiki cap it on air. Yeah, this would be a perfect live bet fight, but I don't have live bets, unfortunately. I'll be at a wedding, the last wedding of this crazy season. I've been to like 3 and multiple Bucks night weekends. No one cares, but that's fine. Just letting you know anyway. Yeah, Lee by finish, $1.66. What's the under? Under 1.5 is pick 'em. Nah, nothing. Pass fight. Next fight, the Anton Jubilee, Jekka Saragi, pass as well. I see people are going back on my side now. The Jekka's a favorite. I think he sparks Jubilee at some point, but who knows. Yusuke Kinoshita, Adam Fugit, first bet that I made on the card. I really liked it. I had 1.5 units on the under 2.5, $1.77. Quite generous. A lot of money's coming on it. I'm glad I found it nice and early. It could be, I had 1.5K just because I felt really good, and I said I'll revisit it and confirm. Upon confirmation, I cashed out $500. I just left $1,000 to win $770. I just think it could get a little bit close. Fugit showed his chin to be better than it is in the debut against Moraes, who I think hits hard. He still is chinny. You can see on his regional footage that he is chinny. He was dropped by like a 3-2 guy. He's been finished by one punch. He's been out cold. He is chinny, and Kinoshita hits hard, and he's also aggressive, Fugit. But I just think he will come into the pocket, give Kinoshita that opportunity to knock him out. But he could his striking is good too. I know Kinoshita seems durable, but you never know, right? Down to 2.5, I'm playing it there, leaving it just 1 unit because I think the grappling from Fugit could potentially burn the clock a bit, and Kinoshita being patient could burn the clock. But yeah, even if it doesn't hit, 100% finish rate by Kinoshita in under 2.5 rounds, and Fugit being cheating, etc. I think this one is it is one of my favorite bets, even though it could come down to the wire. Doo Ho Choi versus Carl Nelson, another similar one. I only have a unit on the under 2.5 at $1.70. Another good line. It's like -200 now or close. I just think it could get close to going over. Just to Choi's layoff, 3 years layoff, and how he comes out, and Carl Nelson, burning the clock. Choi can be taken down, and Nelson, just he's so scared of gassing. Sometimes he comes out slow. But in hindsight, it could also end in like 30 seconds, right? Choi has the touch of death. Nelson super gassy. Nelson hits hard. Choi has no head movement. Nelson also said he's coming out there and he's going to swarm him in round 1, which is smart because that's his only win condition. There's no way he wins a decision. He can barely win a decision against anyone. His cardio is that bad. Apparently, the UFC made him fight at 145. He wanted to stay at lightweight. So that just says he's not comfortable in his cardio at 145, and his corner is probably smart and said, look, the only way to beat Choi is to knock him out like previous other 2 opponents. So yeah, I think the 2.5 probably hits. Only a unit again on it. So yeah, under 2.5s in a row, 2 in a row to start off the main card. Tybura Ivanov, this was one that I taped extensively the second time. I watched every single fight of Ivanov. There's just no ground footage. Thankfully, to some of my Discords, I found a submission loss to Volkov in 2014 in Bellator, and honestly, that was a massive red flag. He fought horrible there. He was gassed halfway through round 1. He really forced a takedown in round 2. It was overextended. He got reversed. He got mounted by Volkov. He gave up his back to Volkov in a scramble, and he kind of early tapped as well. But I think that's just because he was absolutely gassed, really, really gassed, and he just kind of looked for a way out. I do have $1,000 on the over here, just under -200 price, $1.44. I kind of regret it. I know everyone thinks it's going to go to a boring decision because Ivanov is so durable, and Tybura, he doesn't really have much power, and he's been going to a lot of decisions. I'm just watching that Lima fight. Blagoy hit him with some big shots, and I think his boxing's underrated. He dropped high to Ivasa with a check hook. He hit Lewis with super durable with some big shots. I don't think Tybura takes those. I think his striking is being underrated due to fighting some very durable guys in the UFC. He's busted up a lot of guys outside the UFC. And on the other hand, if he ends up being as gassed as he's been in some of his last fights, with the Lima, the Lima picked him up and slammed him. If Tybura does that, if Ivanov gives the back to the Tybura had Grishin's back, he had Spivak's back, and they did the right things to protect the neck. And Romanov's back as well, and Romanov just powered out, being a massive King Kong mammoth. But yeah, hopefully Ivanov, no one else has grappled Ivanov since that fight in 2014. So hopefully that's not a weakness that hasn't been exploited, and he gets taken down and gives his neck up to Tybura. But yeah, I'm nervous about my over 2.5. I'm just going to let it ride. And, if it loses, it loses. It's a lesson. I only played it because when I woke up the next day, on all the other bookies, it was steamed, and it was still $1.45 on Bet365. So I was like, okay, it seems to have some value. So I played it. And then later on, I was like, I probably shouldn't have forced it. I also had a big dog line on Blagoy Ivanov, $2.50. And upon retaping it, despite the fact that I think this could be a pick-em fight, I think his boxing's getting a little bit underrated. A lot of people are shitting on him because of that Lima fight. He stood 3 rounds with Diego Lima and exchanged bombs, and he almost finished Lima in round 2 with boxing alone. Right? No grappling, no nothing, no sambo, just a 3-round boxing fight, and he won a decision. How would Marcin Tybura do standing in the pocket with the Lima for 3 rounds? He would get knocked out in the first 30 seconds, right? So he did what he had to do, even though he won. He had a busted knee. I just think he's going to have the more eye-catching shots. Tybura is going to have, better footwork, more volume, and a lot better cardio in round 3, and probably the better chance to land the takedown and solidify bottom time. So, yeah, it's just, I feel like Tybura should be the slight favorite. Potentially the line is accurate now. I feel like if I keep my massive dog line on Ivanov, I'm going to lose a split. I feel like if I play Tybura, it's going to be a lot closer. So, yeah, I'm not interested in the money line. I've taped plenty. I'm comfortable passing. I'll just leave my over, which I'm also not comfortable about, but here we are. Da Un Jung, Devin Clark. All week I've been tossing about laying the juice on Jung at $1.40. I just think this is a horrible matchup for Clark. The reason I haven't played it is I'm thinking how much value is there. Jung can be a little bit tepid sometimes. But then seeing that Jacoby fight, he was winning minutes quite handily. He was throwing a lot of kicks, leg kicks, which is something new from him that I haven't seen, instead of just being plodding and not throwing much. I feel like he's, maybe gets held up against the cage a bit, eats some bombs from Clark. But then, for the majority of the fight, he might be pressuring Clark. He might, the optics will be in his side. I was about to lay the juice at $1.40. Then I saw money coming in on Clark, so I held off at $1.44. I was waiting for minus 200, got a little bit greedy. Then he went back to $1.40. I still haven't played it. I thought about parlaying him with the Tara fight ending in finish for slight plus money. That way, I just risk half a unit and I get involved in the Tara finish, which I cashed out, and I get involved in Jung. And if I lose, at least I'm not losing $1,000. But yeah, nothing at the moment. I'm close to playing Jung. I just haven't played him. I don't know how much value he is at $1.40. Maybe I'm forcing it. But I think it's his fight to lose. I think he wins 8 out of 9, 8 out of 10 times, 7 at worst. And Derek Lewis, Sergey Spivak. I've got Lewis by KO, quarter unit, $3.40 to win 600 and something bucks. And then as the week went on, I just kind of got a little bit more confident. And then I added another $200 on Bet365. Derek Lewis by finish to win another $400. So $450 between KO and finish at similar odds to win 1,000, a full unit. I just think, I see in the interviews he's being disrespected. He's training harder. I don't think he's done yet. Sergey Spivak's a massive step down from what he said recently. Typical unathletic wrestler that I think he's going to fall into his shell. People have stood up against Spivak plenty of times. Turtles like, I forgot that guy now. The guy that knocked out Tabura. Sakai, he's stood up multiple times. Stood up in round 2 and he's pressured him a bit. When Derek Lewis gets up and he starts pressuring Spivak in round 2, when Spivak's a little bit tired, he's going to freak out. And that's one of the scariest things in the world, when Derek Lewis is coming at you and you're a wrestler and he just got up from your takedown. Again, it's a hard bet to be super comfortable with, considering how easy Lewis can be taken down and, the body language. And, once he's gassed, he just looks like the bet is completely gone. But it's just a number play. At this point, it was a quarter unit. At this point, it's half a unit. I'm just rolling with it. So, yeah, I think this is, if Derek Lewis doesn't knock out Spivak, I think this is truly past it. So, yeah, let's go over all the bets for the UFC. Literally nothing until the main card. So, Tyra, I had our finish. I just passed on it. I think Aguilar's tough, even though he puts him, I can see himself putting him in submissions and maybe surviving and me pulling my hair out. I just don't see how much value is on the $1.66. Does Tyra finish him 70% of the time? I don't think so. Park to Leland, pass. I might put $100 in Park round 3. Kim, pass. Choi, Park, pass. Nakamura, Kazama, pass. Zai, Lee, pass. These are all beautiful live bets that I'm salty about not being able to live bet, because I'll be at a wedding all day. But I'll have fun. Jubil, Saragi, pass. Kinoshita, Fugit under 2.5, $1.77. Doho Choi, Nelson under 2.5, $1.70. 1 unit. Marcin Tybura, even over 2.5, $1.45, $1,000, 1 unit. Daung Jong, Devin Clark, favorite or pass, haven't played it yet. And Derek Lewis, $450 by finish / KO to win 1,000. Those are my bets. My favorites, I'm going to have to say Kinoshita. That's the first thing that I played. That's why I put $1,500. I felt really good about it initially. And then the second one is a tough choice, right? I'm not feeling comfortable about my Tabura over 2.5. Derek Lewis is like, I'm not feeling comfortable either, but it's like as the week is going on, I feel like it's going to hit. So it's going to have to be the Choi, all right? I put those bets together at the same time, when the props released on one of my books and on none of the others. I looked at those 2 fights. I was surprised at the lines. I placed them. I didn't hesitate. So it's going to have to be those 2. Under 2.5, Kinoshita, $1.77, nice juicy line. And Duho Choi, under 2.5, $1.70, $1.68, actually, I'm lying. So those are my bets. Those are my 2 favorite bets. Between the whole weekend, I'm going to say, obviously, the biggest bet is Fedor. Beta under 1.5, minus 200. Right, I cap it at about 75%. Like I said, Fedor is one punch away from being knocked out. Sad, but it is what it is. Hopefully, Beta doesn't shit on my parade by just holding on for dear life. And then, the Kinoshita. So those are my two favorite bets. Every week that I've given you my two favorite bets across Bellator and, KSW and UFC, it's hit. So you can tailor if you want. You don't have to. It is what it is. I'll post all the bets on Twitter as well in about half an hour. So, yeah, that's it. I did it. I wasn't going to do it, but, it's past midnight. So, you're welcome. Alrighty, let's address this. Steve Gregory. Dalton John Clark over 1.5 rounds is a goer? ? I think the line's improved. I really thought about that one too. Let me check. My only concern is I don't know when. There's a high chance Clark does get knocked out. The only reason I haven't played it is if he does go decision. I think it's because Clark is cage pushing and keeping it somewhat close. But I think at any point, John can knock him out. The guy has one punch KO power. It's just I don't know when it's going to happen. Most likely over 1.5 because he starts slow and Clark is looking to run away. It's just the over a juice when Clark can be knocked out at any point. I'm passing. I don't mind it. I'm passing personally. It doesn't feel right for me. I would have played it by now. Good question though. Alrighty, that's going to be that. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Getting some good subscribers now. Good luck on your bets. And hopefully having way too many bets on Bellator is not going to burn me. But other than that, good luck tomorrow. I won't be sweating anything. I won't be watching. I'll watch after the wedding. And I'll see you next week for another 3 events, LFA, PFL, and UFC. Have a good one.